One of the things that personally is an example of that is, I can watch talks or watch documentaries and think about things like global warming and all these big issues confronting our times, and then sort of bracket it to one side of my mind and then continue moving on because I think that's what stops a lot of us from getting involved, because the implications would be that we would have to drop everything if these things really were as dire as.
Partly, but of course, even the most dedicated people have to do that. I was in India. I don't know if you've been there, but it's just a dramatic experience. There's a lot of wealth, a lot of vitality, a lot of excitement, and miserable poverty, which you just can't miss. It's all around you. One time, a couple of years ago, I happened to be there, and I was driving in New Delhi to a demonstration where I was going to give a talk, and another person was in the car with me, a woman who was also going to give a talk there. She's a woman who had taught in the university. She had a university position, but she left in order to go live in a poor village in one of the poorest areas, Rajasthan, where she lived in a hut and what we would call indescribable conditions, working mainly on women's issues. And I think she'd been there about 17 years by then. So a really dedicated person, thrown her life into it. I noticed as we were driving through this, when you drive through a city, as soon as the car stops, there's a horde of miserable people who come asking for a rupee, a penny, showing a gypsy woman with a starving child, every horror you can think of. And she told me right away, don't give anyone anything, because once you do, you can't make any dent anyway, and once you do, it just you get them out. But as we drove, I noticed that she wasn't looking out the window. And I asked her, how do you live with all this? And she said, the only way you live is not looking. You can't look and survive. So you have to somehow wall yourself off just in order to keep going. And this is a person who had dedicated her life at a level that you almost never see. But she's right. We all have to do it. You can't survive otherwise. But it's easy the bracketing, so it's necessary in some sense, but it's very easy to overdo it, like take global warming, which you mentioned. That's a really dire catastrophe. Canada right now is on the verge of destroying civilization. It's almost literally true. If Canada proceeds with tar sand development in Alberta, the effects could be really dire. If Obama approves the XL pipeline, which will then accelerate the tar sands development, and that continues, the effects on human life could be really severe. How much is being done about it? Well, you can tell me. And this is not small. It's not like stopping a war across the ocean is very important, but destroying human civilization is more important. And the choices are right before us. And you know very well how people are dealing with it, all of us. And for Canada, it's particularly important. But it's much easier to pretend I don't know anything about it. If you look out the window, you've got to do something about it, and that's hard. Some of us really suffer, but not you and me and the people we know. We have fairly decent lives. Do a lot of things we like to do, and a lot of rewards in it, and so on. Work we like, people we like, and so on. And it's just easier not to face the kinds of realities which would lead us to giving it up, even in part. So you close the window. We do it all the time. And as I say, at some level, you couldn't survive if you didn't do it. Like the woman in the car in New Delhi. She does it. I respect that. She has to. Otherwise, there'd be no way for her to survive. But for most of us, we close the window much too early.